No Rest for the Wicked is a new action RPG that is being released on early access, that is made by the developers of Ori and the Blind Forest, and this game not only looks fantastic with its unique art style, but it also feels very good to play. It's a title that I have been anticipating for a very long time now, and having already put some hours into No Rest for the Wicked, there are quite a few things that I believe consumers should know before purchasing the game, because from everything that I have read online, a lot of people seem to have many misconceptions in regards to the game, so we're going to be talking about all of that. There's also a few specific issues that I want to talk about in this video that I haven't seen being addressed in any other videos, and they may be the deciding factor on whether or not you get the game, so I really want to go through all of that. With that being said, hello everyone, my name is Dark Hero and let's get started. So let's start by addressing what exactly is No Rest for the Wicked. The developers themselves describe the game as being a visceral precision ARPG from the creators of the Ori series, but that doesn't really say much about the game and how it plays. In fact, after all of the time that I have spent with the game, I would go as far as to say that No Rest for the Wicked doesn't feel a lot like the traditional ARPGs like Diablo or Path of Exile for example, as the developers' intent when making this game was trying to make it a little bit more methodical, so you wouldn't just rush through the story and clear all of the map, spamming your abilities without a care in the world. In fact, I would go as far as to say that No Rest for the Wicked is a lot closer to something like Dark Souls or Elden Ring for example, with the enemies dealing a ton of damage and having telegraphed attacks, and you of course need to use stamina to be able to use your attacks but also dodge at the same time, so stamina management is very important. On top of that, there are backstabs and parries, and even your healing items are a little bit more limited, although not to the same degree as the Estus Flask from Dark Souls for example. And the comparisons to the Souls series don't end there, as contrary to the tradition in ARPGs where you would start off the game by picking a class that would dictate which skills you get and what weapons you can use, in No Rest for the Wicked you get to make your own custom character, and they are essentially a blank slate from the start, and as you level up you are able to increase certain attributes, for example your health, strength, dexterity, and so on. And the weapons themselves that you get to use are restricted to the level of a certain attribute, so for example a fire sword that I found very early on into my game, I would only be able to use it if I had a strength of 12 and a faith of 12 as well I believe. So very much along the same lines as the Dark Souls series. And the comparisons don't end there, because you also have 3 different types of dodge rolls that you can perform. You have a fast roll, which is essentially a dash, a medium roll, and then a slow roll. And much like in the Souls series, these are tied to the weight of your character. So if you are someone that likes to put on the more powerful armors, and you are not putting points into your equip load, you're going to be heavy, and so you're only going to be doing fat rolls, which is of course going to be leaving you more vulnerable to taking damage. But a very cool thing that No Rest for the Wicked does actually is, if you are in the middle of a fat roll, you can actually shoulder tackle the enemy by consuming some extra stamina, and that will often stagger the enemy and allow you to deal even more damage. It's a minor addition to this dodge roll system that has since become ubiquitous in the gaming scene, but I think it adds more flavor and personality to No Rest for the Wicked, which it already has a ton of by the look of the game, and it is especially conveyed by the animations of the characters in and out of cutscenes. They look fantastic, although it should be noted that in the current build of the game is not very well optimized, and I was not able to maintain a consistent 120 FPS. There were a few frame drops here and there, but the game is in early access, so do keep that in mind. So in No Rest for the Wicked, you are going to be exploring this map. It's not entirely linear, it has a lot of hidden paths and secrets for you to find, but I would not necessarily say that it is an open world type game, as the areas themselves are not too big, and very often you'll naturally wander into those more hidden areas. And of course, as you progress throughout the game, you'll become more powerful, and not only will you be able to level up your attributes and equip more powerful weapons and armor, but you'll also be able to add runes to your weapons for you to be able to perform more powerful skills that you didn't have access to before. You actually consume a different resource when performing these special skills, which is called focus, that you naturally gain as you are in combat. With focus also being one of the attributes that you can level up, so if you are for example someone that likes to use a bow and arrow or a staff for example, you're going to need to have a lot of focus for you to be able to use your ranged spells. That being said, if you ever find yourself running out of focus, you can always go into melee range and start whacking people with your magical staff. Another cool aspect of No Rest for the Wicked, which people don't really understand, is that there is going to be a little bit of a city builder aspect to it, where you're going to be able to help the NPCs of the hub town so that they can fix and improve their settlements, and you are even able to place some decorations around, some extra storage in the form of desks and wardrobes, and so on. I personally don't care about that aspect too much, but I think it may be more enjoyable than I initially think, especially given that you will be able to play this game in multiplayer. Because yeah, this is not going to be a single player RPG, you will be able to play and progress with your friends. Now that being said, for the initial early access release of No Rest for the Wicked, multiplayer is not going to be available at the start. The developers have mentioned along with their roadmap that multiplayer is one of the first things that they want to address because they know how important it is for the community, and it's always more fun to play these games with your friends. I believe it's actually the very first update that they will be adding to the early access before they start adding things about the endgame. Something that surprised me about No Rest for the Wicked was actually the way that the game deals with exploration. As I alluded to before, there are going to be a few hidden paths here and there that you can find, and you are naturally going to be drawn there. However, I felt that I was always rewarded with my exploration, and I was also very surprised to find so many areas where you would actually have to do some platforming to be able to obtain an item, activate a lever for you to go to a different area, and so on. It was always very entertaining to find all of these little spots, and I found myself being well rewarded for exploring, so that was always fun. I think it's really important to go into this game not with the mentality of it being an ARPG, because from everything that I have played and everything that I have seen, there's not going to be these crazy over-the-top complicated builds that you find in so many ARPGs, where for example it's all about dealing fire damage and creating fire explosions that deal even more fire damage and give you a fire shield and whatnot. I don't think there's going to be synergy like that, and I don't think that rushing through the map just to get the objectives is going to be the fun way to go about it. I say take it more like a traditional RPG, where you try out different things and naturally end up finding some cool discoveries. I really want to stress the point that you shouldn't rush through the game because it is still in early access. I've seen a lot of YouTubers talking and hyping up this game a lot, and to no fault of their own, I've seen a lot of people being hyped about it, and as a result I've seen many misconceptions and baseless speculation and expectations that I don't think are ever going to be true. I'm having a blast with No Rest for the Wicked, and I will be continuing to do so as I have been looking forward to it pretty much ever since it was announced. And just in case you were curious, I was not sponsored, I was not offered a code or anything, it's just a game that I was very interested in and I'm having a lot of fun with. So ultimately I want to tell you to measure your expectations going into this game. It's going to be fun, but it's not going to be life-changing in any way, especially as it is in early access. But if you want to see more videos from me about this game, or if you are thinking of buying No Rest for the Wicked, let me know that in the comment section below. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching, my name is Dark Hero, and as always, happy hunting!